Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are on a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Sitting Ringside. My name is David Penzer. So happy to be here on ad-free shows. And if you have not subscribed yet, I would suggest and recommend that you do. The price is ridiculously low, and the content is ridiculously too much to even to digest all of it. So if you're new to Sitting Ringside and you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to spread the word. Tell your friends and neighbors. Get on the Twitter bug and tell people that you're enjoying the show. Interesting couple of weeks here. Last week I had no voice because of the crowd being back at the Slammiversary at Impact Wrestling taping, so I overcompensated, of course. And this week you're going to see take two of it. So I did an interview with Impact Wrestling star Trey Miguel. We went for about 30 minutes, talked all about all kinds of cool stuff. And you ever get that feeling in the pit of your stomach that you just screwed up royally? As soon as I went to hit, after 30 minutes of interviewing Trey, as soon as I went to hit stop recording, I realized I never hit recording. Trey was nice enough to do an abbreviated version again. So we're going to have that for you. It's not the usual format of this podcast, but I wanted to bring something, and I wanted to give Trey, who's an incredible performer, a chance to tell his story a little bit and to talk about what makes him tick and how he got involved in the business and who he watched growing up as a kid and all those cool stuff that we like to bring to you each and every week here on Sitting Ringside. So I do apologize for the Sitting Ringside Lite, L-I-T-E, I guess, version this week. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to be interviewing in the next month or two. We're going to be interviewing Trevor Murdoch, who's challenging Nick Aldis, I believe, for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Also working to get Mickie James, who's putting together their all-women's pay-per-view that Impact Wrestling is now going to be a part of with Deonna Purrazzo. And I saw on social media Gail Kim is going to be there. So can't wait to see that. And Power is, I believe, the name of that pay-per-view. And want to thank the fans who were. I got off track. So we're working on Mickie James. We got Trevor Murdoch, Travis Tomko, who hasn't given a podcast interview in a while. Tony Khan has agreed to be on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have any questions for Tony Khan, I'll let you know when a couple days, a week before we do it, and we'll take some of your questions for Tony Khan. But a lot of great wrestling talent coming up here in the weeks and months to come. So we're really excited about it. The interviews will be longer, of course. Had a little hiccup today. So without further ado, let me send you to part two, the second version of Sitting Ringside with Trey Miguel. My guest this week is Impact Wrestling star Trey Miguel. Trey, welcome to Sitting Ringside again.
Yeah, what's up? We're doing round 2, Dave. Should we tell them what happened?
Yeah, you might as well. I fall on the sword. This the Zoom stuff is new to me. I've only been doing it a couple of months. Before I was doing just audio, and I said thank you and was about to hit stop recording, and then you get this, that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you realize you just screwed up majorly, because I realized I never hit record. So you're great to do this again. So hopefully we'll do. I thought part 1 was great, but take 2 hopefully will be better, and I appreciate it. Hey, I was telling you earlier that I was talking to D'Lo Brown, wrestling legend, part of the Impact commentary team, earlier in the day, and we weren't planning on talking about this, but we were both talking about how the moves you do are so unbelievable, and D'Lo in the ring and myself sitting ringside, so they speak, have probably about 50 years of watching wrestling, and it really blows my mind, and I guess D'Lo's too, and how you come up with these moves. Any way you could share with us, how this happens? Do you dream them? Do you watch video? How do you come up with this stuff? Because every freaking week is something different that just blows your mind.
It's like pretty case by case, honestly. I can actually think of an example now, the second time answering this question that I didn't the first time. So like, for example, the power slide. So like, yeah, see, there we go. Positives from negatives. When I came up with the Powerslide Destroyer, there was a match that I had with Madman Fulton where the second the match started, I darted from the entrance right down the ramp, slid in the ring, hot start. He came out of the corner that was like to my left and threw a big boot, and I slid on my knees to dodge it, and was able to pop right back up to my feet and keep running. And then I rebounded and ducked a clothesline and dove out onto Ace Austin. And then I remember after the match aired, I watched it back a few times, that spot, and I was like, wow, how easy it was to slide and pop off of my knees. I was like, that was actually like super easy to do, and I didn't even plan for that to be a thing. And then I was like, man, it would have been really cool if Ace Austin was right there and I like dove between the ropes and caught him, because I feel like I could have done that. So then I had this idea in my head for a solid 2 or 3 weeks about just power sliding and making that lunge through the ropes. And then I just kept dismissing the thought. And then one day we went up to training on a Sunday, and we almost had no students in the building, and it was super hot, and it was just me and one of my really good friends, Castle, who's a trainer up there also. And I'm sitting there thinking about it, and he's always inquisitive about my facial expressions because they always mean something. And I was pondering really hard, and he asked me, he goes, what do you think about? I said, I got this spot in my head. I think it's stupid, and I don't think it's going to work, but I really think I could do it. I don't know. And he's like, what is it? So we pulled a mattress out and put it on the ground. I said, just like catch me in your arms like you love me, and then hug me. And so I go for the power slide, and I dove out onto him, and it worked. And I was like, oh my God, I can actually propel myself off my knees forward. And then I got the idea. I was like, oh, if I can do that, I bet you I can catch you in like a DDT. So then I practiced that and recorded it and put it on Instagram, and D'Lo's on the other side of this thing. And I remember when I did it, he's like, why did you post that? I was like, cause man, I was super excited. My idea was fresh. And when my mind gets that excited, I just get really excited. I really love pro wrestling, and creating things that have never been done, like really, really excites me. But when I came up with that, it just like, it really, I was like, wow, this was really cool. This is something that's never been done before. And sometimes it's just being in a certain situation or doing something that you don't normally do, that kind of just like sparks an idea that leads to a little snowball, and then the snowball effect happens, and then you come up with something crazy like a Powerslide Destroyer.
So you had quite the journey on the indies and training before you finally got your opportunity in Impact Wrestling. How was that, and how grateful were you to finally get an opportunity to show your craft on a television pay-per-view platform worldwide?
The journey to get to Impact Wrestling was awesome because that's where I would go. Like the entire time I was doing the independents, everyone's trying to get somewhere, and I knew I wanted to get to Impact. So when Impact was the one that came knocking first, it's like, we did it. Like and I hate it when I get the question about, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? Like, because I have my own goals. Like, what about what I want to do? Does that matter? So Impact was always it for me. And I love Impact Wrestling. That's what I watched when I was a kid. So, I mean, I watched other wrestling too, but I mean, in my teenage years when I actually started getting into wrestling, when I looked for influence, like Impact was it. And I remember the first time I met Scott D'Amore, who was the man that offered me my contract. It was randomly at a Red Wings game. It was the first Red Wings game I'd ever been to. He was super nice. It was for St. Patrick's Day weekend. It was the first time I ever had a Jigs dinner. And there's a really funny story about that night that I can't talk about, but it won Scott over so much that he was like, I like this kid. He's hilarious. And yeah, from there on out, I'd see him on indie shows up in Detroit at like XICW, which was a place he'd regularly stop into and just watch and peep talent. And after enough encounters with him there, he gave me a tryout match, and it didn't do anything. So a year later, I got a second tryout match, and that one did do something. And now I'm here, and I love my job, and I love my life.
That's wonderful to hear. Growing up watching TNA Wrestling, which now Impact Wrestling, obviously, you know, people throw out the AJs and the Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joes. Who were one or a couple of the people that you looked up to, that when you got in this business, you decided that, you know, I want to pattern myself after this person or these people?
Amazing Red and the Motor City Machine Guns. I remember the first time I saw Amazing Red, my best friend Brent lived 2 houses down from me. His dad opened the school that I first trained at, and Brent was watching Impact, and I didn't watch Impact at that time. And he was like, hey, bro, come down here real quick. This dude's on TV, and he looks just like you. It's super crazy, because I used to wear my hair in a mohawk, and my barber would put designs on the side of my head too. So, and that's what Amazing Red did. I had never seen him before. So I run down and I look, I was like, oh my God, that's super dope. And he's super short. What? And then he wrestled Kurt Angle that night, and I was just blown away. I was like, this dude is so quick and sweet on his feet. Like, damn. And that sold me. And I started watching Impact Wrestling weekly from that point on. And then I got hip to the Motor City Machine Guns and watching their tag team moves. And their look was what stole me first. They looked like the coolest action figures I didn't own. And I was still admittedly 14 and like wanting action figures, like wrestling figures. I didn't tell nobody, but when I saw them, I was like, man, I hope they got figures. Those gotta be sweet. And then I would get the WWE game and download them on it. And I had a full roster of TNA wrestlers on all my WWE games, and I never played with any of the WWE wrestlers. It was just the Caw creations of Amazing Red, AJ Styles, and both of the Guns. That was it. And then I would only wrestle Impact people.
That's great.
I had everyone.
That's cool stuff. How is it working with Chris Sabin, and we got to work with Alex Shelley a little bit before the world went haywire? That must be pretty cool.
It was a dream come true. Those guys shaped my imagination from 16 on. I think that the way that they approach wrestling and their thought process on it is some of the most creative wrestling I've ever seen. And then being able to pick their brains and get their critiques on my ideas and get their approval and their excitement when I come up with something cool is some of the most gratifying moments of my life, not even just wrestling career. People have heroes that are baseball players or superheroes or actors and stuff like that. And none of my heroes were ever anything outside of wrestling. So to have your heroes be good people and want to see you succeed and be there to help you do it and want that for you, maybe even more than you want it for yourself, is one of the freaking coolest things ever.
So much.
Let my family save your family some cash. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket, but we will save you money. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of how much. SaveWithConrad.com.
Much of your unique style is, and I'm guessing this, just being around the business as long as I have, is based on the reactions that you get. You know, I know that when I see you do something new, I pop, but I'm not allowed to cheer, and yell and scream. How hard was it to make the conversion when we had to do it without fans for a little bit?
It was really hard, but with the experience that I had, like of 10 years, 11 years going into a situation like that, you've understood the line that's drawn between feeding a camera and feeding the fans, and piping in. If you've ever done an indie show with 5 people in it and a garbage curtain crowd, then showing up to the tapings that we've been doing for the last year shouldn't have been too different for you. And that was my reality for a really long time. And that transition, I watched a lot of people struggle. Not a lot of people, I watched some people struggle with it, but I personally don't think I struggled with it too much when it came to like how I treated it. Like there's so many times I still show up to an indie show that doesn't sell the way other indie shows do, and there's only 100 people there that are spread out, and you got to imagine the reactions and all that, and so that way you can still give them your full, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when we're doing TV, everyone's spicy, everyone's feeling themselves, everyone has their gear because you have the lights. There's a certain feeling about the professionalism and the production that you just, you know what I mean? You really swag it up when you're at TV, and you have to, if that's what people see on TV, they expect that on the independent shows, but there has to be a certain kind of energy fed to you to deliver that. And when it's not there, you have to imagine it. And that's kind of what we had to do for the last 18 months or however many months. That's what it felt like 36, if you ask me. It was the longest time of my life without fans, but you got to have that imagination and pipe it in, and just was what it was.
How cool was it to have it back? Have the fans back?
The best feeling in the world. I want to mention this again. We are really only afforded a single minute when we make our entrances, because we have to fill in so much stuff for TV. So it's a general rule, like, hey man, try to keep your entrance at 60 seconds. It felt so good to have those fans back and be the first entrance of Slammiversary. So I took my sweet ass time and didn't feel even bad about it. And I was like, if I get yelled at in the back for it or fined or something, I don't think it'd be that serious, but I'll take it on the chin, because that was the best feeling ever, to get that ovation and have everyone stand up in the impact zone. And it's in the building that we've been imagining too. So it made it even more special. It would have been something totally different if we had Slammiversary at a different location. So it just felt like, oh, we're going back to what we were doing before. That's not what it felt like. We filled the same exact room that we had been imagining fans in. So to put them in the same room that we've been putting all that hard work in, that made it even more special, because I didn't have to imagine anything. It was better than anything I could have imagined.
Hey, real quickly, because this thing's going to cut us off, and I don't want to do that to you again. Just tell people about your wrestling school and how they could hook up with you.
So my wrestling school is here in Toledo, Ohio. It is Skull and Bones Pro Wrestling and Fitness. It has a Twitter page at Team Skull and Bones with an N for and. My DMs are also open for training inquiries, and that is at the Trey Miguel on Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to message me at any time. We are always enrolling new students. And if we're not, for whatever reason, we can give you information on when an appropriate time is to circle back for enrollment.
Well, I appreciate you being a warrior today. I always enjoy watching you, and I'll see you in Nashville.
Yeah, 2 weeks away.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.